far, almost as far north as Scotland. I mean, as Norway, and so it's light out.
Oh wow, I love it.
I mean, the sun doesn't go down to like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night.
Why is there no sound? Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Our introduction of guests today is going to be done by Ben Burks. Glad to see you, Ben.
We have a number of guests today, a tremendous number of guests. So as we ask the guests to stand, if the hosts would also stand with them. Sherry, you have a boatload of folks today, so you want to go ahead and stand up. We'll start with your crew. Sherry Hartman has Brenda Hale here with us, Francis Berry, Frank Tyree, Gloria Randolph King, Megan Fleiderer, Rachel Tillies, Sheila Heron, and Lorena Wilson. That's a great group, so well done. Sheila Umberger has Amanda Taylor here. Amanda, Sheila, excellent. Bruce Swanson has Catherine Cable. And then Guy Bird has Mike Adams. Mike. Stephanie Moon Reynolds. She has Milton Hardy Jr. I saw Milton. There we go, Milton. And Joe Cobb, guest of the club. So Joe, welcome. Folks, we're glad you're all here and hope you'll come back. Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
much. All right, we have some announcements to make. We got a bunch of birthdays. I think John's going to make that announcement for us.
Thank you, President Clark. Jean Bollendorf, among her many duties, keeps up with birthdays and normally would announce them. She's not able to be here today, and since we didn't meet last week, I thought we should cover the birthdays before the month was passed. So those that were observing birthdays in June include Dan Carnes, June 2nd. Dan gave the invocation. Bill Logan, June 3rd. Ben Spiker, June 3rd. Ben is on his way to Indianapolis. Joe Gaither is here today, June 4th. Mac McCorkle, June 7th. Also, Steve McGraw is here today. Birthday was yesterday. Mike Bell's here today. Today is Mike Bell's birthday. Reeve Kessler, June 11th. Jill Sluss, June 14th. Sherman Holland, June 15th. Bart Wilner, June 20th. Phil Shiner's here today, June 22nd. David Hartman, June 25th. Ray Sarver, June 28th. Jim Aaron, who we mentioned is recovering from rotator cuff surgery, June 29th. Delegate Sam Razul, June 30th. Shall we sing happy birthday? Judy, are you in a position to hit the keyboard for us?
Come on up.
I don't need no music. I don't need no music. No music. All right. To all the birthdays. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, month of June. Happy birthday to all of you.
Let me just say, you don't know how lucky you are that that turned out that way. And in that vein, I was going to make another announcement, but I think I'm going to wait and let John Bradshaw do it during Bragg Bucks.
All right. Well, that is a hard act to follow. Thank you so much. Wow. So I love that you got our spirit elevated because I have a very elevating announcement to make. So I'm going to ride your wave with this one. The announcement that I'm making is actually on behalf of a number of Kiwanians. We are announcing, I'll ask you to stand for just a few minutes, Dr. Brenda Louise Hale, who is here today, has devoted her life, I would dare to say, every day to serving her community. And we are happy to announce that we are honoring
Okay. Yeah. Not here yet? He was supposed to be here this morning. Not here yet. I just called him and asked him what the hell was wrong with him. Thank God, late start. He stood up. Oh, but I said, hey, look, I'll there's always something.
Unification and edification. It was a day that people came together for fun, enjoying one another, good food, good fellowship, and just smiles all around. Uh, Ms. Sheila Umberger engaged the librarians, the library force as a Kiwanian, Steph Parsley from the Roanoke Redevelopment Housing Authority. Steve McGraw was there as a great organizer. Roanoke City, Jeff Shaw helped get the nature park access to the water. Eric Walk and his wife, Miss Megan Flattery, Ernesto Muse from the Goodwill headquarters. They had their open house on that day. Miss Stephanie Moon Reynolds, Miss Andrea Brooks, Lois James, Joe Limmer, Pregum Johnson, Judy Clark, Dave Hartman, Tom Miller, Mill Mountain Zoo, Cox Communication volunteers, Ashley and Brent, Roanoke Catholic Key Club, Fleming Key Club, Bridge Builders, Shiloh Baptist Church, Men's Ministry, the Fire Department, Chief Roman and the police, Don Witt, Angela Papalas with the event flyers, Bob Goss, Vern Danielson, the West End Center, Cox Communication, Goodwill's Discovery Program, Terrapolix from the Wildflower Garden, Hollins University students, mentors, and I think I got them all. Praise the Lord. Are we ready, Sherry? While Sherry is there, I'm going to ask this young lady that did a tremendous job for us. She had such high energy and she did such a tremendous job of planning, organizing. She was the glue to everything that really transpired that day. Megan Flannery, would you come forth at this point, Flay? We have a special thank you for this young lady. She is so talented and so committed. So on behalf of our committee, this is a small token of our appreciation for you. We just appreciate her so much and what she did. Got a tremendous spirit and her energy is unsurpassed. So once again, thank everyone for your support coming out that day to make it a great event. We had over 1,000 people to show up for this event. So it's double what we had last year. So we don't know what's going to happen in the moving forward, but it was a tremendous event. So Sherry, are we good? You can't do it? Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Don Witt, and I'm here for the third time for the third try at installing the interpretive signs on the greenways. Unfortunately, because it's the third time, I've lost a few volunteers, so I really need some of you folks to sign in and help out in installing this. It's not a big deal. We have basically 2 shifts, one in the morning from 9 o'clock to 12 and one in the afternoon from 12:30 to whenever we finish up. We're only installing 5 signs. The city is doing most of the grunt work, if you will, drilling the holes and providing us the equipment. And all we have to do is mix some concrete, set the signs, and go on to the next sign. So please consider signing up for either morning, afternoon, or both, so that we can get this job done. Thank you. Oh, and those online, if there's a sign up sheet on the table, those online can give me an email or at drwitt@cox.net and let me know that way. Thank you.
One last announcement. We are having a board meeting next Monday and it will be hosted at the Water Authority. Mike McAvoy's so nice to let us use that. So thank you. We do have a brag buck today. John Bradshaw.
This is not a brag buck, it's a correction. 2 weeks ago, I stood at this podium. I paid my $2. I made a presentation on Rupert Cutler's thing that is occurring this Saturday afternoon. And lo and behold, I put the wrong date on it. It's supposed to be June the 11th. But to make sure that I don't mess it up, I wrote it on my note. June the 11th. Now, what we're having 2 or 3 years ago, a little history, Rupert got conned into making a presentation about William Preston out in Botetourt County. And out of growth of that, they decided to make a memorial to him in Botetourt County for all the historical work that he did along the different counties out in Southwest Virginia, including Botetourt. Now, the memorial itself was involved with myself. Sam Lineberger did the grading on it. Gary Kirk's brother-in-law contributed to it significantly, and many others helped that memorial being put in place. Even the county liked it so much, and they moved in the building right next to it, following it on it. But the SAR, the Sons of the American Revolution in Virginia, decided that they needed to dedicate it and get some PR from a national standpoint, and talk to Rupert about having a program of dedication. Now, it's been set on Saturday, June the 11th. And obviously it's in competing of the picking up papers that are needed, but us old folks can't lean over, so we can go over to and help it in Greenfield. Now, what I'm asking is some people to wander out towards Greenfield, stop and have lunch at the Three Pigs, leave that barbecue and head out to Greenfield by 1 o'clock, listen to the program out there of historical nature, then turn, come back to Eichenberry's nursery, pick up a good apple to eat, and maybe take a pie home to your wife or your husband. And I think you'll have an enjoyable day on Saturday. You can get home in time to cut the grass. But the reason that we come here is lots of us have been involved in that memorial. And we know that Rupert Cutler has done so much for the valley, not here, but on the playground, on all other sorts of things. And we want to make sure that the credit to the playground, to the memorial, is equally a credit to Rupert Cutler. And we would ask anybody that can join that to join me there. Thank you.
One thing Joe Gaither and I wanted to make sure you knew about is, as a thank you to all of you who grew a plant to plant at the nature park, at the Spring Fun Day, all of you who came to help plan at early morning 8 o'clock meetings, all of you who showed up that day. We have put out on the table a pair of work gloves and a shovel, because we hope to keep you involved in growing our garden there. So on your way out, help yourself to gloves and a shovel. Thank you, Clark.
All right, today's program today is Christopher Roberts with the Gun Violence Prevention, and he's going to be introduced by Kevin Reeder.
Thank you, Clark. So today we have with us Chris Roberts, the Youth and Gang Violence Prevention Coordinator with the City of Roanoke. I've seen just from the little while we've been in this club that a lot more people in the audience know Chris better than me. But I just have the honor of introducing him today. Chris was born in Brooklyn, New York, but raised in the city of Roanoke, a graduate of Roanoke Catholic High School, and also a graduate from Radford University. His professional career spans over 17 years working with youth and their families in Roanoke City. He began his career at the Roanoke Valley Juvenile Detention Center, Roanoke City, as community service supervisor or surveillance officer, And then Department of Juvenile Justice as a probation officer, senior parole officer, probation and parole supervisor. So, and again, in the short amount of time I've been in here, and talking to Chris, he has described about how much he wants to build connections in our community and really bring, I think, a sense of unity. And so I can really appreciate that. Looking forward to his presentation. Thank you, Chris, and welcome.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the president and thank you to the Kiwanis Club for inviting me here to speak to you guys. I'm really excited to share the information and the things that we're doing in Roanoke City. First, I'd like to start off with a little timeline as to how I became the Youth and Gang Violence Prevention Coordinator over Roanoke City. In 2019, February 2019, there was a public safety briefing presented to City Council. We have some members here that was a part of that briefing as well. And then the thought, what can I do? Started reverberating between the council members. Council member Joe Cobb made a request. Can I create something? Can I do something about this gun violence in Roanoke City? Following that February, the formation of the City Council appointed the task force to reduce gun violence. In November of 2019, recommendations from that task force were adopted by City Council. Then in 2020, the task force was renamed the Study Committee. So they went on a fact-finding mission around Roanoke City to try to identify gaps, service providers in the community to try to figure out exactly how can we build strategies to overcome this increasing gun violence in Roanoke City. Then in November 2020, that action plan was adopted by City Council. In 2021, the City Council creates a standing appointed 9-member gun violence prevention committee, the commission. And in April, that commission created a grant writing team to research, write, and apply for state federal grants. And in May of 2021, the city was awarded many grants to prevent violence prevention and intervention in Roanoke City due to the work of that commission. Following up in June, Roanoke City was awarded a $500,000 grant. And that grant was there to create my position, as well as 2 outreach workers positions, as well as a community-wide assessment. And so that's the timeline. And in October of 2021, I began my position as the Youth and Gang Violence Prevention Coordinator in Roanoke City. I was tasked with figuring out exactly what our vision would be, what our goals would be, and how do we coordinate, implement strategies to prevent the rising youth and gang violence in Roanoke City. I created a mission statement for our unit, and our mission statement is simple. It says, as leaders and dreamers, we have to prepare for problems. We have to know how to handle them and what to do when they come. Because no matter who you are and what you do or how much success you have obtained, problems are something that each of us experience. The beautiful thing, for every problem that exists, there is a solution. We merely have to be willing to find it, create it, and implement it. Those are the 3 strategies in which our unit has been built on. Find it. If you want to achieve great things, we must coach, guide, encourage our youth and young adults to practice the skills of intentional focus. On those things, on intentional focus on the right things in the midst of chaos. What you focus on multiplies when you allow your problems to be the loudest voice in the room. You lose sight of hope and possibility. That's a principle in which we go out in the community and we stand on when we're interacting with either youth, young people, community agencies, or systems. Also, create it. When obstacles arise, do not be surprised, do not get stressed out, or allow yourself to get lost in worry or anxiety. Instead, calm yourself and invite wisdom into the situation with the confidence that you can create a solution. Third, implement it. Develop hope of a way out, the creativity to find a way around the problem, the faith that you're strong enough to overcome the problems that you're facing. Those are the missions. That's the mission statement in which our program has been built on, which I created, and which I currently supervise 2 outreach workers, and we're working under this particular mission statement in and of itself. In October, our unit, the Youth and Gang Violence Prevention Unit, is charged to build healthy communities by engaging with the community, providing prevention and intervention services, and creating, developing, and implementing enrichment activities across the city of Roanoke. Our community engagement activities include identify and connect community resources to the citizens, develop partnerships to mitigate barriers to resources, and build community influences. Our prevention services implemented to improve families, to create age-appropriate school programs, to create positive peer relationships building, and one-on-one case management. That's what we're actively doing. Our intervention services. We want to interrupt violence with violence interrupters placed strategically throughout our community. We're establishing community influences, and we're creating block captains. We do intensive life skill coaching, community workshops, seminars, and groups throughout the community. Our enrichment activities are all age-appropriate activities, and they span the globe of art programs, music programs, sport programs, and healthy eating workshops. Our community engagement activities that we have going on currently, we participate with the Reset team. We go into these communities that are affected by gun violence the day of, or usually the week after that violence has hit a particular community. We walk that neighborhood, we knock on doors, we introduce ourselves to those citizens, and we provide them with resources, whether it's trauma counseling, whether it's mentoring, whether it's vocational stuff, or it can be just everyday life issues. Your light bill, you have something, you have a tree that needs to be removed from your house. Those things have been accomplished with us making those connections in those communities. Counselors, we also have therapists on our team as well, that we can actually have people serviced to address their trauma, which will cost them nothing out of their pocket to have their needs met. And we connect them with therapists that are contracted with our programs. We partner with the Melrose Library and Ms. Umberg and her team to make sure that we provide safe spaces for young people in the community, from programming to counseling, to mentoring, to coaching, to guiding parents, where they're doing that in the evenings with those extended hours with the Roanoke City Libraries. Our intervention programs, we have a group of young men and older men in that group as well that we call mind movers. In that group of men and younger men, we're talking with each other to make sure we support each other in interrupting violence. Wise men for counsel, young men for war. So we sit there, we strategize with older individuals who are experienced with this community, and then the young men go out and implement those strategies in which we've learned. Formerly incarcerated men are also on the team as well. We've learned that they're valuable assets in the community. Their experience is vast. They have connections that we can't make. They've opened doors for us that we couldn't open. And they've got us at the table to have communications and conversations with people who would otherwise wouldn't talk to us because they see us as being a part of the city government. And so those men are also on the team as well. We've built strong relationships with those, and we're still accepting more and more because we want to make sure that we place these people strategically across the community to interrupt violence. Our prevention services, our case management services, those are one-to-one case management services that we will find an individual, whether he or she is directly involved with the gang, indirectly involved with the gang, or being high risk of being involved with the gang. And we case manage these individuals. We give them options. And so if we're going to ask someone to turn away from the gang, we have to replace it with something. What do we replace it with? And those are the strategies in which I've been out to make partnerships in the community. So we can replace it with vocational services. We have a partnership with Build Smart, our construction school. So if someone, no matter how old you are, if you have a dream or an aspiration that you can match what's in your head with your hands in vocational services, and you're committed to do it, we can pay your tuition and we can put you in that program to get you livable skills. We also have school programs as well. For those young men who are at our alternative ed school, we're working exclusively with our alternative education schools. And we're in there creating and implementing after school programs as well as during school programs. We have a program there called Self-Mastery. If you can't control yourself, you can't control your environment. And so we're working with young men to make sure you identify exactly where your anger is coming from, how to find that and identify that, and how to build resiliency factors to get you over that so you can get the education you need in that space. So we're there doing that as well. Our enrichment activities, we have a partnership with the Kirk Family YMCA. So anyone individual that we case manage, they can participate at the Kirk Family YMCA and be open to all those classes there. Also get their physical health needs met as long as they're under our case management supervision. So we have a partnership with Kirk Family. We also have a partnership with the Jefferson Music Lab. We have a lot of individuals in the community that are musically inclined, that just don't have the proper space to be able to fulfill that dream or even push that dream further. So we have a partnership with the Jefferson Music Lab. So if there's an individual we come across that will want to practice their music in a safe space, in a professional space, we grant them access there through our case management services. Art programs as well. We partner with the Arts Council. We have a resident artist because everybody's not athletically inclined. There may be some people that can be strong visual in the visual arts as well as the performing arts. So we have people that can work with those individuals to make sure they have access there and their voice can be heard. Healthy eating workshops. We have an individual on our team who's a holistic healer and a holistic health perspective individual. So he's also taught our young men that he has in the after school program how to shop for organic foods at Walmart, Kroger's, as well as Earth Fair and the co-op, to be able to identify healthy foods and to be able to prep a healthy meal. Health is critical, as making sure in your food is critical to making sure you can think clearly. So those are some of the things in which we started off doing in our first 8 months on the job, and we're seeing some success there as well. Another program that we want to make sure that we want to try to cover all bases. So we have one perspective that we're looking at those individuals that are high risk or gang involved or indirectly gang involved, but there's another side of that coin. As we're looking for these gang members, we're running into a lot of victims of gun violence, families, young people, older people, and they're suffering in silence. Some of these people don't have counseling. No one's coming to talk to them. No one's coming to support them through their loss. So what we created an empathy project. And in this empathy project, it's myself, a visual artist, as well as a performing artist. And we interview these families and we get them to tell us about their person who transitioned, their life, who they were to the family, who they were to the community. And that story, along with those pictures, will be memorialized on hollowed core doors, as well as their story be told in spoken word with our performing artists or in poem. And once that project is combined, we'll have QR codes on these hollow core doors that as we place them in various spots around the community, you can put your phone to that QR code and you get to hear that person come to life along with that visual. We've had two.